Well, good afternoon, everyone from Clearwater, Florida. Welcome to Tuesdays with Turner. If you're joining me, please just say hello, tell me where you're from. It's always nice to connect with different people. Hey, Leilani. I'm working on a new project, and I thought it would be fun to just give you an idea of how I go ahead and prepare for something like this. This is exactly how I work on all of my projects. I'm just going to wait to see if we get any more people. I'm finding that the size, I'm beginning to find out when I do the size of this, I'll have interest in it. Someone will have interest in it, a show or something, and they're going to want it to be larger. And that's what happened with a couple of my pieces. But you know, I'm honestly, hey Vicki, I'm just so much happier with working on like 36 by 30 works for me. That type of a thing. I rarely do it. I think the Panther was 36 by 36 and it's a square. That's not something that I normally do. That piece just called for that. So let's just show you what I'm working on. So this is a mare and a foal. I'm working with a Sandy Sharkey. She's an equine photographer. She lives in Nova Scotia, and she has been on the cover of National Geographic. So she and I found each other because back in 2014, I did a workshop for Calico Horses where I taught free art lessons to kids staying at the sanctuary, the Wild Horse Sanctuary, Return to Freedom in Lompoc, California. So I donated a portion of that work went to help Return to Freedom. Every child got a book, they got a signature, they got to talk to me and answer questions, and I got to hang out with them, and they got to see the real Calico horses. So that was in 2014. Sandy Sharkey was donating her work. She's, you know, as a photographer, she was donating her work to the same cause, Return to Freedom. She saw my work and went crazy over it and contacted me and said, what do you need? And that's how I connected with such a fantastic, she's just a fantastic, hi Kathy, fantastic photographer who said you can have any photograph you want of my work because I know you're going to donate it to people in need for nonprofits. Hi Beth, it's nice to see you. So we're talking about textile illustration and how I go about creating this, and where do I start? Where do I start? Well, it starts with a sketch, and I am working with a photograph I just spoke about from Sandy Sharkey in Nova Scotia. She's an equine photographer. These are wild horses from Utah, from a band that was rounded up, and as you know, many of them don't make it, some of them do. Oh, Beth's in Colorado, wonderful. And so this is to honor these horses. Now, I decided that I wanted to make the piece around 36 by 30. That's where I was shooting. And so when I'm doing that, I have to give myself at least 3 inches around the piece, just like you would do a quilt, where I'm going to be going out. I'm always going to be working out. And I need to give myself some space so that I have room and to do some edging, or if I'm going to do a gallery facing, how do I want to finish this? This is how I always approach it. So just like a painter, as I've often told you, I have to work with background, middle ground, foreground. So this piece is worked on, this is white denim. I finished my edges, and this is going to be the overall background piece. Now I'm going to be using a hoop as I sew. I use this cloth. I just take a piece of crazy glue and I wrap the entire piece with the metal part all the way around it, and then put a drop of crazy glue on the other side, clamp it, let it dry, and that helps slide as I'm working, and it also keeps things really snug. And so that's the way I prepare my hoop for doing this work. So I have different size hoops. 10 inches is probably what I would do on something like this, and then the smaller work I'll be working on a smaller hoop. So the background, as you can see, is dyed silk. If I get in there close, you can see the dyed silk. which makes a really nice mottled sky. And it's wrinkled, and so those natural wrinkles when you go to put this in, and I did use an embellishing machine on this, so there's some really nice, even though it's silk, it punches in and it gives this stridation to it. And I love these wrinkles that it gives the sky. Look up here. It's really beautiful the way that naturally does that. And then I put in some dyed cheesecloth. This is just dyed cheesecloth, and if you see, I twist it, and so I get some of those heavier areas and lighter areas, just like a natural sky. It's kind of floaty looking, where I layered over top. And when you get close, you can see it's just a bunch of rags. I mean, that's what it looks like. But as you pull back, it makes a really fun, interesting sky. And so that's how I work this. Now, I traced out on here where my horses were going so that I didn't go ahead and cover. I don't want this too heavy under the horses. I'm going to be doing a lot of thread painting, and I don't need this to be all built up. Now, their face is going to come down here. The chest is here, and I've got to work into it. So that means I've traced the horse, and actually if I look at it really carefully, the horse's nose might come down around here. So I'm putting all this background in so I don't have to go back in and put all this, you know, tight embroidery work around the horse's face. So let's talk about this. So I do the sky. It's all done with this. This looks like clear monofilament. Yeah, I did clear monofilament, and then I popped in some tulle over top of it. You can see that. Now this is going to get what I call manhandled. It's going to be handled a lot, and so I don't want to do all my sewing on this. And so that's why I decided to do the horses separately. So the horses, and just so you know, I have a fabric collage blog. The last part of it, part 6, is now on my website. And I take you from step 1 to step 6 to exactly how I do this work. It's what my students learn in workshops, and you can purchase a pattern of mine and be able to go to the step-by-step blogs and really follow along. I suggested in the newsletter that I just sent out that it might be fun for some of you that aren't able to get to your guilds and get with your family or get with your groups to why not purchase pattern. How about you all just purchase a pattern, get together on Zoom or get together on the internet, and go ahead and go to my step-by-step blog, and you can all do this yourself and have a lot of fun. It's a great way to just gather with friends, family, anybody that likes to sew. Hi, Christina from cold, snowy UK. Hi, Rosalind. It's good to see you. And so it's important. I'm just saying to you that you can do this. I don't want you to think that this is over your head. I teach to all levels, and I really do break it down pretty easily, step by step. Now, it takes time to do this, as you know, and some people do get frustrated because they just give up. But I tell you, I explain to you about picking out the fabrics, shaping the anatomy by letting the fabrics do the work. All of this is done by the work of the fabrics. It's not like I have this magic power. If I step back and look at this, I've made some beautiful horses here just using beautiful fabric. That's really what it's about. But how do you do that? I explain that all in my free blog, so just go to my website, you can see that. So now, as I explained, this is the background. I've prepared it. It's on white denim. I've traced out where the horses are going to be, and I left that blank because I don't want a lot of heavy fabric or anything underneath here. So this is what it looks like right now. I always work and give myself at least 2 inches, 3 inches on the borders because I might be doing a gallery wrap. How am I going to finish it? Not sure yet. We'll see we'll see what happens as I go, but I know I need to give myself some room. And then the horses are done over here. They're done on a separate fabric. I'm using here, just like you'll learn when you go to my blogs, I'm using muslin. So this is just muslin. And then this is a stabilizer, a pressed-on stabilizer. So I did that. I put this stabilizer behind to do all this stitching. Now you can see right here all this puckering. This isn't even going to show because this is all going to be cut away. And then this way I will take Misty Fuse and I will adhere it onto my background. But as I said, all of this thread work, and you can see all the thread work I do, that's a lot of sewing. All that thread work, I don't want to manhandle this piece. If I do that, all of this delicate sky is going to be destroyed, and it will be destroyed. I have to be very careful with it. So I do this in 2 steps. So I'm creating this background, and then I did the horses in the foreground, and then I'll take it to a finish. And what I mean by taking it to a finish is I'll be doing some embellishing and who knows what. You know me, everything but the kitchen sink. So let's talk about the embroidery. Here's some of my supplies. Now, this is a little Chinese antique basket I picked up on eBay, and I absolutely love it. And it holds my supplies so that when I'm sitting and working at night, because I do this at night usually, we'll listen to an audiobook and I'll pull out my embroidery and do that. Dean and I aren't really big with TV. We never have been, but we'll stream a movie once in a while, and we like to watch the old Turner black and whites, was it Turner Classic? I guess Turner Classic. But this is what I do in the evening. I'll do my hand embroidery. Now these threads that you're looking at are variegated, come in beautiful colors as you can see, and they come in different weights. And I'm also using a 12 weight Aurifil, which you know all about 12 weight. If you don't, go to my website and you can look at my threads. So there's this particular one, you can see how shiny it is. This is a silk floss, and then this is not a silk floss. You can see it's a little duller. Still has a nice shine to it, but this is called Silken Strands. This is called Ophir, O-P-H-I-R, and this is called Silk Floss. Silk Floss they don't even make anymore at the store where I go, and I go to colorstreams.com, and they're in Australia. So I've got every color of the rainbow because you know me, I'm nuts about color. And I will work, and this is how I'm going to show you how to do your embroidery. If you choose to do this type of work and you want to add hand embroidery, I'll just give you some tips on what I'm going to do and how I'm doing this. Now, if you look like a field of grass, it's not, to the naked eye, you might just think it's green, but it's filled with lots of colors. And as you're doing this, you pop in these colors because it adds to the, it just adds to the picture, makes it more interesting. It looks more realistic. I use photos, so that means, I don't have any photos near me, but I use photos of fields so I can see the ridges and the valleys and the little, where does it go down and up, you know, just so that I'm not making up out of my head. I'm looking at photo reference, and I'm looking at a field, and I'm looking at it in relationship to the horses. So by putting that depth of field in, that's what it's called, depth of field. If you put that horizon line, and there's the horizon line, and you add your foliage, and you go teeny, 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 teeny. You see that? Tiny, tiny little stitches. And as I stitch with these, they change colors because I'm using a variegated thread. And so they naturally change this, just like in nature, they naturally change with the topography. And you can really see if you look in there close. Now, as I get closer to the foreground, the weight of the threads gets heavier and the stitches get larger. And that's because I'm trying to create depth of field. This is way back in the way back, and this is going further, 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 close to the farm. This will all be covered with even more embellishing and more stitching. I'm not even there yet, but I wanted to show you the process of doing this work. Here under the little fold, as you can see, I'm paying attention to my photos, and I'm looking at the grass, and it gets darker, darker, darker as it gets to the foreground. And that's true with most paintings. The background will always be paler, and off in the distance it's lighter. And as you get closer, closer to the foreground, it's going to get deeper and darker, richer, bolder. And that's how this painting works. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about painting with fabric and threads. So next what I'll do is, once I get this all hand embroidered and I'm happy, happy, happy with it, I will be able to place the horses on top of it. And the horses will go on top of it. And then I'll be deciding what other embellishments do I want to do. And that's really the icing on the cake. And the reason I leave it to last, and people ask me this all the time, like, are you going to use lace? And are you going to use ribbons? And when are you going to use doilies? And how do you know when to add it? Hello from cold northern Illinois. Hi, Maurice. Nice to see you. Hi, Kathleen. It's good to see you. If you guys have any questions, I'm sitting here talking away to you, but if there's any questions, please pop them in. I'm happy to answer them. So where was I? So I do my hand embroidery, and as I said, I'm not really sure. It's a very intuitive piece. So for this particular piece, I did see a mare in a fall meditation. When I went back to it, it was in a field. This photo that you see here, when it was provided to me, it was not in a field. It didn't look like this. Hi, Amber Zia. Nice to see you. Judy's, nice to see you. So I create this. So I create that illustration, and you can too. So if your photo source, and you can learn this on my blog, if your photo source is nice and crisp and you can really see the image, just to say it's a German Shepherd, you could put that German Shepherd in any area you want to. It could be at a beach, a lake, it could be on a mountain, it could be anywhere you want it to be. You can create that mood. Hi from Nevada. What will you use for the backing? Hi, Christy. I'm not there yet. But for the backing right now, I'm working on denim, and that's all I need to do. when I go to frame it, it'll go probably get professionally framed, which usually I do with all my work. If this is a fine art piece and that's how it's sold, most of my customers want it framed. And so this is all fine and well to do these big pieces, and I do them, and they have a sleeve on the background. I don't know if you can see it, but they have a sleeve on the background. And if that's what you're asking me, that weight, I'll probably be playing, nothing is playing for me. I checked my internet connection's fine. Oh, Christy, I'm so sorry. Maybe do a refresh, and maybe you'll see it. I'm not sure. So that's what you asked me what the backing's going to be. So the backing's basically going to be whatever the heck I want. Right now it's white denim, and I'm keeping it very, very loose and light because I'm doing a lot of thread painting on this, and that's another thing. Remember, I'm doing hoop hand embroidery. Let's take a look at the back. This is all hand embroidery. I don't want it too thick. If it's too thick, I'm going to break a needle trying to do this work. That is fascinating. Love the beautiful colors and textures in the horse's head. I wish I could get sound on this. I don't understand. Is anybody else not hearing me? Is it just Caitlin? Kathleen? I just want to make sure you're all hearing me. If you're not, you better tell me. So this is hand embroidery. This is embellishing that I did with my sewing machine. And this is 12 weight thread that's been put through you hear me fine, thanks Christy. This was put down through water soluble stabilizer and then washed away. And then you get this wonderful raggedy looking, looks like, to me it always looks like rags, but when you pull it back, thank you, I'm glad you all can hear me. That makes me feel much better. And so as you can see, it turns into this sky. And look how fun that is. I mean, you can put whatever you really want here. And again, twist your cheesecloth. Get the cheesecloth twisted and you can get more. See this twisted in here? You can get some darker and lighter blue in there. Now, if you don't dye your cheesecloth, and many people don't, I don't dye my cheesecloth. There's a great shop on Etsy. I think she's called Allie, something Allie, but she does it for photographers. Photographers apparently use this dyed cheesecloth to wrap infants and newborns in, and then they take these pictures of them. You've seen those pictures where they swaddle the baby. Well, that's where I get mine, and I get them in every single color of the rainbow because the lady has them in every color of the rainbow. So that's what that sky's made of. And again, I'll just go back and show you my embroidery threads. I do a lot of hand work in my work. You vary the sizes. Look, I've got every color in the rainbow. You're welcome, Christy. I'm glad that you think I share so much information. You know, I love this stuff. I have such a passion for it. Don't even bother trying to find these thread spools. They were custom made for me. Yes, I love them, but don't even try to buy them because trust me, you can't find them. So that's what I'm working on. Oh, this is sari silk. The horse's ears will be sari silk. Again, I don't want to put too much embellishing at this stage because I'm going to be doing a lot of thread painting. Now, as I got up to the ears, that's another thing. I didn't want to do too much work up here if I'm going to be putting embellishing in. There's no sense in me stitching, and I'm just going to cover it with fur. So that is why I put the ears on. Both of the ears got put, they were both put on. Now they're both going to get a mane. That'll all come last. That is the finishing touches on this piece. I've often talked to you about embossing, so this is a little embossed bee that I put on there. And I always put animals in, as you know, in all my work to represent the community that we have in sharing the natural resources of our planet. So you're always going to see me put animals in all my work. Little plants and little flowers and things will always be, all nature will come into play. So that's pretty much it today. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. Turn this camera around. Sit down so I don't break my neck here. I did put out a newsletter today, and in it has a link to my new webinar, which is on the website, but it's also in the newsletter. That is a demonstration, and if you did splash of texture, this isn't the splash of texture. This is something different. This is using threads in a way that can use embellishing, not water soluble. It's a different way of stitching using shears and laces and things that you probably would enjoy. If you haven't signed up for it, you might want to do it. I know embossing with foil. What do you mean with fabric? Okay, Kathy, so when I talk about embossing, I cut out, what do your students use for floss? My students use for floss. Well, as far as handwork, no one's doing, I don't have any students that I teach handwork to, so I don't know what they're using. I use Color Streams, and it's OAphor, OPHIR, colorstreams.com. OAphor, and it's called Silken Strands. And some of the sky background, I get my dyed silk there, and I also get crinkled chiffon. All these specialty fabrics go in my work, and they get covered with a ton of stitching and whatever. So when you sign up for this webinar, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be seeing, well, you're going to see me doing a demo on it. But I think I'm going to do something different with this workshop. I think I'm going to do a demo on something and then send you. You will be able to get that as image or pattern that I demonstrated on, so that you can play around with it and actually try to recreate what you just saw me do. And that might be fun for you if it's, you know, if I do a flowering cactus, or I'll probably do the bloom of a cactus, I'll send you that image so that you can practice at home on what I just demonstrated. So that's that workshop, and that's coming up Saturday, March 27th at 3 p.m. Florida time, Eastern Coast time. Now, the reason I made it on a Saturday is because I've had a lot of people that can't tune in because they work, and they keep asking me to do weekends. Well, I don't like doing weekends. My husband and I, we're busy on weekends, but you know what, with the COVID, we're not really doing anything that much on weekends anymore. So I just, like, well, everybody always says, what are you doing this weekend? I'm working. I'm always working. I'm always doing artwork. That would be what I do. So if you would be interested and want to try that out, do that. Now, can get back to Kathy's question about embossing. Let me turn this around. So Kathy, what I'm talking about is I cut out a little bee. The fabric is all cut out. And then I go in and I match the color of the fabric with the threads. See the threads? And I stitch inside and fill that little bee. So that's all filled, and that's called embossing. And I did it over here. Let me see if I can find one for you over here. I think I did a peacock. Oh, there's a pretty little, yeah, there's a peacock. See the peacock? So that was done with stitching inside all the fabric to show that little peacock. I did it there too. See how I took every single color of that fabric and stitched it? That's called embossing. And here's another one. I did this peacock, where is it? Peacock feather. Hang on, I'm too close to it. Yeah, there we go. So that's all stitched with the same color threads, and I embossed it. Whereas over here, you have a little zebra. He's just, you know, he's just there. But he's not necessarily embossed. This little hummingbird is embossed, but this little crab or this little lobster is not. So that is what I'm talking about when I say stitching and embossing. I hope that makes some sense to you. So that's it for today, everybody. This is pretty much the way I work. Please go to my website and look at the blogs, the step-by-step fabric collage blogs. Go to see my patterns. Get a pattern. Do it with a friend. You can do this on your own. It's exactly how I work. Even when you see my patterns, the koala, the snow bear, the polar bear. What else do I have? Kittens. I have puffins. Go get a pattern. Go get a pattern. You're welcome, Kathy. Go get a pattern, grab some friends, have you each get a pattern, because that's how it works. You don't get to share them, you have to copyright it. So get a pattern, hook up with each other, and use my step-by-step blogs, just like I spoke to you just now, and you'll be able to do this, okay? You'll be able to do this on your own. And there's plenty of places to do questions and answers on the blogs. So that's it, Beth. Thank you. I'm so glad that you like my work. Again, I have a webinar coming up March 27th. It's going to fill up fast. So if you want to grab that, you want to grab a seat in that, just send me an info@calicohorses.com and get on the list for this. I will see you next Tuesday with Turner. I'll be here every Tuesday. Please share my work. Please follow me on Instagram. As you know, all of my work supports endangered animals worldwide. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week. Bye.